Very white. So welcome, Jennifer's Desire Management. So we're going to investigate what is desire? How does it affect us? How can we properly use our desire? And can we even be without desires? Sometimes this idea comes up that my desires are harassing me. I have no peace. Some people have insomnia. They cannot sleep because at night they're thinking about so many things. So desire is the energy of the will trying to achieve something, either positive or to remove something negative in one's life. It is the mechanism with which the soul is facilitated in this material world, especially. That the soul is described to be 1/10,000 the tip of a hair. So if you took the tip of your hair and you chopped it up 100 times and took one piece and chopped it up another 100 times, then you get the dimensions of the soul. So very tiny, that's how we are, very tiny. So how are we moving such a big body? If you think about 1/10,000 tip of the hair and however much kilograms our body is. So it is by desire. So the desires are then fulfilled through the agency of the Lord and the demigods. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Maya Dakshena Prakriti Swiyate Sacharacharam Hetunanena Konteya Jagat Viparivatate. That all moving and non-moving things in this world are under my control. And then each aspect of our physical body is like a hyperlink. You know, you get a link on the internet, it's colored blue. If you click it, then it takes you to some website, some service somewhere. So our senses are all hyperlinked to a particular demigod. That even our blinking, our evacuation is all controlled by different devas. So the user, if we were to use this analogy, that the body is like the hardware of the computer, then the mind and intelligence are like the software, then the user would be the soul. So the soul is simply desiring different things, and then the software, which is managed by the demigods, puppets the body. So in one sense, desire can never be removed from a living being. Maybe stones will be without desires. So in spiritual life also, sometimes devotees feel like that why did Krishna put all these desires inside of me? And why did Krishna put me in a place which seems to give me many ideas to enjoy in this world? He put us in a place where there's so many things that attract us. So the senses are naturally drawn to the objects of the senses. Like you cannot stop perception. The eyes will always see, the ears will hear, the nose will smell. But it is what you do when that information comes into the consciousness. So Krishna consciousness is training us, teaching us how to manage our desires. Two broad categories. There's the material desires, and ultimately there is spiritual desires. We want to move from the material realm into the spiritual realm. So desire in of itself is value neutral. because the soul is known as tatastha in nature. So there's the spiritual energy, internal pleasure potency, or internal energy of God. Then there's the external energy, material energy. We, although spiritual, are of a category called tatastha. Tatastha would be like the gentleman by the entrance. So when you are at the entrance, you can either come in or go out, if you're standing by the door. So the soul has two choices basically. It can either be under the control of material external energy, or it can be under the control of the internal energy. So tatastha. Also here we're by the ocean side. Tata would be the beach. So in the day, the sand is revealed because the tide has gone in. In the night, that same sandy area can be covered when the tide is up. So that is called the bank, the tata. So the soul then necessarily is always under the influence of one of these two energies, material or spiritual. So what will draw us to either side will depend on our desires. What is it that I want? So it is not that the problem is desires, but it's just how we manage those desires. So we're going to look into 3 ways how sensual desires can imprison us. So prison. Anyone been to a prison? Not to stay, but even just to visit. I did a Jan Masterby program at Pretoria Central. That's called CMAX, maximum. And I found a friend of mine from high school there. I was shocked, he was somehow got involved with stealing cars, he told me. He was one of those like Chama boys. He didn't look like he would end up doing crime. But anyway, he said he was coming out in 2027, and this was in 2011, he's telling me this. It was just like, wow. So in the prison, the prisoners are limited by the walls and the fences. They cannot just move however they want. But at least they know, like he knew, I'll be here until 2027. But imagine in a prison which has no walls. You cannot see these walls. So this is our position, that we are imprisoned and we can be limited into a miserable situation by our desires. So, how? So 3 ways. So our desires can restrict us based on limiting us to a particular source of pleasure. Say, I like alcohol. So there are so many things that are there in life that are nice to put on the tongue. Like sometimes I see people buying alcohol and I ask them, so how much is this 6-pack? And they'll tell me, and they'll also offer me, you want one? I say, no, I don't. Then I ask them, how much is ice cream, for example? They may not even know. I say, well, how come you don't just buy ice cream with the money or chocolate? Or just enjoy your tongue. No. They want alcohol. So, because in the beginning, that was a source of just pleasure. But later on, it becomes a demand by the senses that whenever he's thinking of enjoyment, he now has no other choice but to go back to alcohol. So then that soul becomes covered to understand that the human being has many levels on which he could enjoy life, pleasure. It's not that everything depends on alcohol. So his desire to enjoy led him to alcohol, and when he tried to enjoy alcohol, he became addicted. And then because of that addiction, now he's trapped to just that source of so-called happiness. And that is not really happiness, we know. Okay, someone will say, well, it is happiness. And I agree. The people who are getting drunk, they wouldn't do it if it wasn't giving happiness. But when we come to Bhagavad Gita, we understand that there's gradations to happiness. So those who are sober, when they see the person now is rolling on the floor, he may be feeling, wow, today I'm really enjoying, but others can understand, no, this is low class enjoyment. So in ignorance, one enjoyment is there. Passion, there's also enjoyment in goodness. So when we do not get trained in how to enjoy in goodness, and especially in transcendence, we become trapped by lower desires to enjoy sensual. Another way is that it traps us in that our capacity to enjoy is also limited. So we may like pizza. Many people like pizza. You like pizza? Yeah. So to enjoy pizza, I give you one pizza, one full one. You're happy, yeah, you can eat it. Second box. Then you don't even want to see the pizza because the stomach can only take so much. So the material platform where material desires are dominant is the platform where we become satiated but not satisfied. So you desired to enjoy the pizza, you start to eat, and then sooner or later you cannot take any more. There is satiation, enough. But still the desire may linger to enjoy. So you're not satisfied, you can't take more. The spiritual platform is, one is always satisfied and one is never satiated. It's never, oh now enough Krishna, this is too much. We can always take more and more prasadam, we can dance longer and longer, we can serve more and more. So material desires, they just give us this hope for satisfaction. But satisfaction never comes. We only lose our ability to interact with whatever we're trying to enjoy. So that's miserable. It's miserable. You're not satisfied, but you cannot take more. So you're just like in limbo. The third way, it is it limits our conceptions of pleasure. It limits our conceptions of pleasure. When we speak of happiness which is not having a beginning and an end, people cannot conceive of it. So Krishna in the Gita, he speaks that the wise, they never indulge in sources of misery, knowing them to have a beginning and an end. Yehi samspasha jaboka dukaya yena evate adyantavanta konteya ramate Buddha. So the ones with intelligence who are full of Buddha, they know that if I absorb myself in that which has a beginning and an end, I will be cheated. Because although in the beginning there's some nectar, in passion what results is suffering. In ignorance, it's suffering from the beginning and it's suffering in the end. Like you see, drug addiction. Getting high that's why they call it getting high. Means you feel like you are being uplifted. It's just no problems, no worries. But then there's the law of diminishing returns. The next time you come around, that pleasure is no longer as elevating and as fresh as you got it in the first time. So as you are chasing that initial pleasure, you are becoming chemically imprisoned. So when one is now surrounded by the victimization of pleasures which have a beginning and an end, they become crippled in their ability to understand there is a platform of ever-increasing pleasure. There is the eternal platform of enjoyment. So the first principle of managing our desires is that I will not be able to manage my own desires to the best degree on my own. I require someone external to me to help me. So the program of accepting guru, accepting a teacher, is that one becomes a disciple who is ready to accept discipline. Without discipline, there is no disciple. So the spiritual master is revealing the syllabus that Krishna has given for not only controlling the senses, but we also want to come to self-awareness. So sometimes people say we need more self-discipline to control our desires. But it's not just a process of grinding your teeth and I will not drink, I will not succumb to lust, I will not. Because that is like they say you're pushing down a spring. So you can push it down, but a little negligence, that spring shoots up. So self-discipline, we don't have much strength because the desire and the person who's trying to control the desire are all within the same system. You may have experience of this. Sometimes I stop taking sugar, for example. And a few weeks go by. Now I don't take it in my tea. But then somebody just brings like just a beautiful looking cheesecake. And then, it's like, yes, cheesecake. I'm in Johannesburg, it doesn't come so often. What's one slice of cheesecake? But if I had like an accountability partner, for example, the people around me, if I tell them, if you see me eating anything with sugar, I give you the permission to maybe slap me on the face or something. Then even though within me I may desire that cheesecake, but because people around me first, they would say, hey, Pelawana, there's nothing for you. Even if I try to beg, come on. They say, no, you said you were off sugar, you will not get it. And then even if I steal it and I get caught, there's some claps to get. So deterrence. So the spiritual master, he is inspiring from one side. Why this giving up sugar is good for you. He reminds you the same points that you understood to say, stop this sugar. And then also by his own example, he is also off. Like for us, baseline disciple, discipline, no gambling, no intoxication, no illicit sex, no eating meat. So the spiritual master is definitely not doing those things, so by his example. And then the traditional system was that we are in the ashram of the guru. So most of you are in your own ashrams, Grihastha ashram. And sometimes it causes problems, accountability. It's two people, they have weaknesses in different areas. So if the husband or the wife is very strong to discipline the other, then they have to make sure that they are also not slipping in any department. So if one is weak in one area and we let them slide, then the other has to also give concessions to the partner. Then in the end, it's like, you can't tell me not to do this because you're also doing that. I didn't get on your case when you did that, so don't get on my case now. Whereas the spiritual master has been given full authority over the disciple, or the temple authority, temple commander. So here would be a suggestion: if there's some things you're trying to get over, maybe join the local temple for a week or two, or maybe go for a weekend, detox program. There, that we get the community of devotees helping us to manage desires that may be contrary to our spiritual aspirations. So there was the three ways. It restricts us and imprisons us by limiting the sources of pleasure, diminishing our capacity for pleasure, and then blocking us from understanding higher conceptions of pleasure. It is material desire. Okay, so we will now just go through 7 types of desire. So in the Sanskrit language, desire is called Icha. There's a verse in the 7th chapter of the Gita. It's Icha Devesha Samutena Dvandva Mohena Bharata. That living entities are coming into this material world and they experience the dualities of desire and hate. So in our lives, there's always either this is good, this is bad, this is beautiful, this is ugly, friend, enemy. Either you want it or you don't want it. So desire and aversion are like two sides of the same coin. Sometimes it's saying if someone is showing too much aversion about something, it's a sign that they actually have a desire for it, some attachment for it. A little story on that. We get to hear this a lot for brahmacharis. It's a nice story. That there were 2 young brahmacharis. They came upon a river which was flooded. And as they were rolling up their dhotis to cross, then a young lady came, desiring also to cross the river. So the 2 friends, one of them said, Prabhu, we are brahmacharis, we don't deal with women. Forget her. The other one was like, come on. I mean, she needs help, she needs to cross the river. Brahmachari means Brahmana, Janatiti Brahma. You're focusing on the spiritual aspect of life. So what is spirituality when you are unable to see the need of others and be helpful? So he said, Mataji, don't worry, come, you can just get on my shoulders, we'll take you across. So the other brahmachari can't believe you, what is this, actually touching a woman, So there they are, he took her, they crossed the river, he put it down, they went. As they are walking, the other brahmachari kept on nagging him. I'm going to tell everyone else, what type of brahmachari are you? How can you deal with women? You carried her. And then this other one said, Prabhu, I carried her just across the river. You are carrying her in your mind for the last 40 minutes you're talking about her. So externally, he's supposed to be, I'm not into women, I don't care, no. He looks the part, but internally, in the mind, the very thing is, I don't want, he's actually attached to it because he's meditating on it. So that is how tricky also our desires can be. So, Icha, one type of desire is the desire for sexual pleasure. It's famous in Sanskrit, called kam, lust. Krishna speaks of this desire and says it is nitya vairina. It is the eternal enemy of the conditioned soul. So of course lust is championed by sex desire. Lust can also be for many other things, selfish desires. So he says in the Gita that one must defeat this enemy of progress. So this desire is explained to be the sense of love of God when the living being comes into the material world. Because of contact with the mode of passion, it is transformed. So that love, meaning selfless service to God, becomes lust, selfish gratification of my senses. So if it's not my senses, it's whatever has to do with me, my body, my family, my nation, like this. So, calm. Then desire for food is known as abhilas. One of the 7 deadly sins is gluttony. Sometimes you see on television someone who's like obese, some talk show, and they're crying there. I can't even move now. I can't breathe. What happened? I just kept on eating and you know, they ate themselves into like a wheelchair. So, I mean, don't underestimate desire, and even desire for eating. The tongue. The tongue is very voracious. It's difficult to control the tongue. So one way of controlling the tongue, managing that, is that take Krishna Prasadam. Even Krishna Prasadam has to be taken with supervision. Sometimes we've got good PR, because people think vegetarianism means you're going to have skin and bones. So we just show them healthy devotees, like look. It's not that we're just skin and bones. You can also be very healthy eating vegetarian food. But still, let us not just pile it up, because then we're going to be hindered in our service. Deity department means the stairs, you know. So how many times will you be able to get up there? If the ghee is like sitting on your neck. So the tongue, desire, abhilas. So we take the holy name to control the tongue in its vibration aspect. There's a desire to speak. That's why they created microphones, so people can speak to more people. They can speak louder. So in the scriptures it is described that when we speak only of subject matter of this world, it is likened to the croaking of toads or frogs. You must have visited our temple in Chatsworth. Once upon a time, there used to be this moat without fish. Is the fish still there now? Okay. Previously, not so many fish. I don't know now. I haven't been there in the summer. I haven't been in a while. But at night, you would hear this symphony from hell, from the toads. And you can tell each one is probably thinking, I mean, we all like hearing our own voice. Although it's strange when you hear a recording of your own voice. It sounds different. So when the toads are croaking, For them, it's generally a ritual to attract the opposite sex. And also maybe it's just the way they speak, whatever it is. But it's not pleasant to hear. But guess who likes hearing the croaking of toads? Snakes. Yes. The snake, he hears things wonderful. He doesn't have to worry how to find them. They're basically just calling him, over here, over here. And he just dances slowly, slowly and catches them, eats them. So it is said material sound vibration. When we are engaged in gossip and rehashing all the soapies we are watching and what happened to the neighbor at work, the sound vibration, it binds our consciousness into this world. So we have to vibrate sound which is spiritual. So the name of the Lord, describing his activities, his abode, this controls the tongue and liberates us from the ritual platform. So another type of desire is called raga. So it's desires called icha, but when one wants to enjoy certain objects again and again, it creates what is called raga. Raga means overly attached. Overly attached. There's comfort foods. They comfort us, but then they are also not actually solving the underlying problem. So time and time again, one goes into certain, if you're bored, for example, which shopping mall probably is your favorite?
Gateway.
Gateway, yeah. So you're sitting at home Saturday, no job, you don't know what to do, and somehow the mind says, hey, just buy Gateway. Like that, you get dragged again and again because there's some rag, some taste that has accrued to how you enjoy yourself, how you feel when you're in Gateway. Then desire for future deeds. Sankalpa. Sankalpa means we have plans, like beginning of the year, 2024. How many, by show of hands, had some New Year's resolutions? Some now we don't even want to say because what? What? They fall away, second week. Some are able to do it. How far along are you? Some boxes ticked. But this making some sort of vow, when we do that, we express a desire for something to do in the future that is called sankalpa. So even in spiritual life, for us to make progress, it is encouraged that we make sankalpas. We have our desires put out there and we have targets. So whatever may be expressed materially, under proper guidance, can be redirected. Because the principle of desire, as we said, is the nature of the soul. You cannot be without desire. It is just a matter of, are you desiring outside this tent or you're desiring inside the tent? You cannot be at the doorway forever. Then desire to relieve the pain of others without any selfishness or any selfish motive. The philanthropists, altruists, they have their own desires, of course, but then they are also under the heavy push of a desire to help others. So that type of desire is known as karunya, some mercy or some compassion for others. This we encourage, because if we are only thinking about ourselves, we are not so interesting. And how much of me can I meditate on and do for me? Me. So because we live in a world which is so me-centric, more people are depressed and full of anxiety and unhappy, because selfishness is like, even if you have the best things, the best car that you want, if I leave you with just that car, and sooner or later you will find that you are punching the car and kicking it, frustrated. Real enjoyment is when there's others, and the more people you can share something pleasurable with, the greater enjoyment you get. So that is why you find even super wealthy people, they're always, talking about their charitable works. And we are helping people. So karunya has to be developed. And in spiritual life, that type of desire is expressed in the desire to spread this wisdom which can free people from the whole prison of mature life, which we mentioned is a prison sometimes with no walls. It's only our desires. Srila Prabhupada talks about an old man who is on his deathbed. And we're here, we just made it a man because we don't want too much the women. The story is an old lady. So it's a principle that we're getting. So he's on his dying bed. His grandkids are there, his kids are there. They are all Vaishnavas, devotees. They're trying to encourage him. Granddad, now that you're leaving your body, Krishna said, Yam yam vapi smaram bhavam tadyati antakaregaram, whatever you think of at the time of death, that you will attain. So now, chant Hare Krishna. Please chant. The old man is getting annoyed. Leave me, I can't. I don't have the energy to chant Hare Krishna. So he got tricked by the good fortune of good association. That he doesn't want to do it, but because he has to protest, he has to say what he doesn't want to do. I don't want to chant Hare Krishna. The children were showing mercy to him by giving him the ultimate charity, association with Krishna. It is called Prema Dana. Golokera Prema Dana Harinam Sankirtan. That the wealth of Goloka, the wealth of the spiritual world, is the Supreme Lord himself. In this age of Kali, that wealth of Goloka has descended in the form of this Hare Krishna mantra. And it is said, those souls, Buridajana, who distribute this, Tavakatamritam Tapta Jivanam Kalma Sapaham Shravanamangalam Shivadatatam, who distribute the names, the talks, the kathas of Krishna, who is actually the wealth of those who are suffering in this material world, whose very talks destroy all that which is inauspicious in the heart. It's like there are fires in the heart, fires of desire. You know those desires that have not been fulfilled. Like we wanted a house in Mshama, but it's just the way it's looking, the economy and COVID, maybe it won't happen. But the desire is still burning in the heart. Sometimes there's some desires I should have enjoyed like this in high school. Those are so annoying. You are lamenting of something you should have enjoyed 10 years ago. It's still burning you in the heart. So, hearing about Krishna, it is like a cloud of cooling waters is dousing the fires in the heart of desire. So those who distribute, that is actual karunya, mercy, compassion. Give people that which connects them to their eternal position. Then Sometimes then there's desire to avoid certain pleasures, certain associations. So that is called vairagya, detachment. It is said of Lord Chaitanya, vairagya vidya nija bhakti yoga shikshatam ekam purusha. He is that Lord who has come to teach devotion to himself. But what is this devotion to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu looking like? It is based on detachment and knowledge. So detachment is not always well received because it seems to be taking away something from us which we like. So sometimes people say detachment will make you hard-hearted. But actually it's not detachment that makes one hard-hearted, it is attachment. Look at Duryodhana. From his birth, the astrologer said, this son, you should kill him immediately. By looking at his chart, he'll be the end of our whole Kuru dynasty. Dhritarashtra, however, thought, nah, I mean, they say he's going to be a bad kid, you know. Kids can be naughty, but he will be reformed. They said, no, this one, he doesn't deserve to live. But it's his son. So because of his attachment to him, he spared him. And as he began to demonstrate that low-class mentality, Dhritarashtra, he couldn't move his heart from his attachment to his son. So his attachment led him to be so hard-hearted that the 5 sons, the Pandavas, the sons of his own brother, who were left under his care, he was scheming with his own sons how to kill them. When Vidura was telling him, look, stop siding with this Duryodhana, he gave him examples of how Duryodhana was evil-minded. Eventually Dhritarashtra said, yes, I hear your advice, it is good advice, but my heart just cannot take it. So when we are attached, you think about it in your life, you are attached that even though you are told this is not good for you, try to be detached from this. Those words are just like a roll off your back, you know, like water on a duck's back. Yeah, I hear you. You know when people don't want to do what you're telling them? They say, I hear you, Mati. Meaning, okay, enough now. You're saying something, I hear you, but it's not really going to change my mind. So, means the heart is now hard. That the good instruction doesn't seep in and create change. So it is attachment. Detachment, on the other side, is that it puts a distance between the object and who I am. So if I understand I'm the soul, then I can also understand that certain things are only good as far as my physical side of life. Some things are good for my spiritual side. So pork and beef and chicken, while they may taste good, so it is not the taste that is bad for your spiritual life. It is the violence of killing these animals for just taste. If you want the taste, they are still simulating that taste in soya type preps. Some people even say this tastes even more than I like. There's another one like this soya fish. Oh, it's disgusting. Sorry if you like it, but it's too fishy. It just made me like, why are we still here? So, vairagya would mean, then you can understand, let me be detached, move away from this taste which ties me to sinful life. If it's the taste I want, can I not get it attached to spiritual growth? So they offer to Krishna. Well, the deity we don't offer soya, no? I think even Krishna is like, no fake meat for me. He has so many fruits and vegetables and milk products to eat. So for our benefit, these things are there to help us move away from the violence and the bad karma. So Vairagya is encouraged. So Mahaprabhu said his devotees, they are characterized by this detachment from things that do not foster Krishna consciousness. So can you be blamed if, oh, people do say like that. You Hare Krishnas, one guy told us, you are running away from suffering. All you do is chant Hare Krishna. I said, now, so if someone tells me in this tent there's a man with a stick, there's just, anyone who walks in is just getting whipped. And then I say, I don't want to go in there. Is that a weakness or a strength? Yes, it's a sign of intelligence. Going in there means I'm going to get beaten up. So I avoid doing that. And then you are going to blame me. How come you're not working at the office and at the mines or driving a truck? Or no, I'd rather chant Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada has invited all of us, actually. The temple there's good accommodation there. Yes? Yeah, come. Spend a week or something. Chant Hare Krishna, take prasadam, and meet the human family and talk to them about Krishna. They will be benefited, they will be happy, you also become happy. So Vairagya means keeping away from things that do not foster Krishna consciousness and becoming attached to those things that foster Krishna consciousness. Last one is the desire to deceive others. That is called upada. English is such a interesting language with its euphemisms. Like, you've heard of white lies. It's just a white lie. So it's, as they say, it's whitewashed. It's a lie, but no, it's just like a tiny lie that you just say in conversation just to keep things spicy. I mean, I don't know about you. Sometimes you find a lie that you've told a few times, started as a joke, that even now, when you think about it, you are no longer sure, did that really happen or was it made up? Like you tell a version of a story one way a few times until that version seems like that's the actual. Or you just have the habit that you always just stretch the truth. Yes, so how many drinks did you have the other day? Instead of 2, now we had about 6. How many books did you distribute? You know you distributed 5, but about 10. So desire works like this. Like the mind or the subconscious mind. If you look at it like a record player, now records you don't find so much. But some of you know record, yes. So it's got that needle, and there's all these grooves going in circles on that plate. And the needle is guided by those tracks, and it keeps going there. So when we say something, when we do something, and we do it again, or we say it again, it is like creating these grooves on our subconscious mind that again and again, you just fall back into those tracks. You repeat the thing again. So first, the objects, they activate us. Oh, you see it's nice, you hear it's nice, then you're like, charge, you go there. Later on, because they've entered and created a groove, then without your participation, it just pops up. That let me do this, let me hear that, let me go eat that. And after some time, if you feed a certain pattern, then you are basically dragged by it to do the activity. Like, I know my cousin, like sometimes in the middle of the night, you just hear the door is opening, what's going on? Oh, he's going out to smoke. And it's time to sleep, you know. Sleep is so nice, no? Especially after a long day. But something somewhere in his sleep, it just breaks and he's dragged out even in winter. He comes back, you know. So we want, by practice of Krishna consciousness, to create such deep impressions of Krishna, the spiritual world, the devotees there, the culture of service, that at the time of death, we can't wait to be transferred to that place. We don't have so much desires about, oh, my Tupperware, someone's gonna misuse it. Oh, the kids, I left money in the drawer there. Death is such a situation, huh? That you've invested all your money in this bank account. And then by the day you want to withdraw, they tell you, no, this is the wrong account. It's not your account. You cannot withdraw from that. It's all snatched from you. So right now, no matter where we are in our desires in this world, we can always keep adding Krishna consciousness. And the impressions of Krishna consciousness will slowly but surely erase the tracks which are deep from many lifetimes of material desires. And today we presented just that one needs good association and one needs to commit to a mentor, a guru, spiritual master, to get the help to stick to the program of redirecting our desires in the most positive way. I think I will stop there with time. Yeah. I don't know if you have time for one or two questions.
Thank you, Prabhu. Are there any questions?
You spoke about attachment, right? And you spoke about receiving good instruction. But how do you differentiate the good instruction from the bad instruction?
So we have to know what is good. In this world, there's all this relative situation. You know? One man's poison is another man's food, one man's food is another man's poison. So from where we stand, we will tend to think of good in relation to our own desires. Like someone says 5 things to you, and you hear one thing because it sort of matches your worldview. It aligns with you. So yeah, good man, because he told me something that I agree with. Someone else tells you something that you really need, but because you don't agree with it, you think this guy is envious, is puffed up, how can he just come tell us this? So in the Bhagavatam, it is mentioned that the standard of good is samsiddhi haritoshana. What is that which will please the Supreme Lord? That is considered good. That which is misaligned with the will of God, that is bad. In the material platform, ethics and morals, good and bad, they vary region to region. Just like even hand gestures, you'll be shocked. Something which here in South Africa is just a good hand gesture, elsewhere it's vulgar. So, if you want to understand good for the sake of the spiritual growth, then the scriptures is your number one go-to. Then another is those persons whose lives are a reflection of the scriptures. They live the scriptures. So the teachers and the saints. Scripture, guru, and other saintly persons. Then if you take feedback from them, then you can understand properly the different gradations of good. Because, say, is lying a good thing or bad thing? Bad, yeah? Generally we think a liar is not good. But now, if you come in running here, and you come and you hide under this table, then we're worried, hey, what's happening with him? And then you see two women, just to spice it up, with knives chasing you. And then they say, bravo, some man, do you see the man coming here? And then if I think, I'm a devotee. Yes, he's underneath the table there. And then they come and stab you. That telling the truth, it didn't benefit you. So I told the truth, but because I could not understand the time and the place, that truth becomes bad. But if I said, oh, no, I didn't see any man. Yeah? What man? Oh, and there was one I saw him run that way. So I lied. Someone said, why is this probably lying? But then we are saving a life. So, in the material world, you always have to check because it varies according to time, place, circumstance. But ultimate good, the Lord and the scriptures and the saints, they are able to give us understanding what's good. Thank you for that question.
Are there any further questions? Thank you, Prabhu. His Grace Savya Saci Das,
Okay, so one last thing, just before we go, I'll ask you to raise your hands. Take a deep breath in. And after me, chant Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So hope you have a wonderful time in this festival. Don't miss the parade at 4:30. Jagannath Baladev Subhadra will be giving their darshan again for this Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Before you leave, I'd like to formally introduce Prabhu because we didn't do that at the beginning of the session. Our speaker, His Grace Savya Saci Prabhu, is a disciple of His Holiness Bhakti Chariots Swami. He comes from Gauteng in South Africa. He joined the Pretoria Temple in 2002. He studied Bhakti Shastri and Bhakti Vaibhava in Mayapur, India. He's been serving in South Africa and neighboring countries like Swaziland for more than 22 years. He was traveling with Bhakti Narasimha Swami for 4 years, preaching in Southern and East Africa. Alongside Bhakti Narasimha Swami, they pioneered and registered ISKCON in the Kingdom of Eswatini, formerly known as Swaziland, and he has been involved with university outreach programs since 2004 and has been focused in Johannesburg. Being a traveling monk, Prabhu preaches in Germany, Switzerland, Italy, Singapore, Malaysia, India, and the USA. And we're very delighted we could host you today. Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
There's one more important announcement, which is very, very